Well, the Food and Drug Administration's advisory committee is meeting today to decide whether Americans can begin getting Pfizer's vaccine shot.
But will it be in time to slow the surge and to save crippled businesses? Charlene Aaron has more.
Across the nation, new cases are soaring and states are imposing new restrictions to stop the spread. In California, the number of hospitalizations is around 10,000.
We're running out of space, we're running out of supplies, and we have a shortage of providers.
New stay-at-home orders ban indoor and outdoor dining at restaurants and impose restrictions on social get-togethers. Businesses are struggling to survive, especially during the holiday season.
This is the busiest time of the year for restaurants. Generally speaking, I would say a lot of people would normally be getting together or having holiday parties. So we've lost all of our private party business. We've lost all catering business.
Tuesday, a California judge ruled the ban on outdoor dining is arbitrary, but the 3-week lockdown order still prevents restaurants from opening. California churches are pushing back against prohibitions on indoor services. Attorney Matt Staver, the founder of Liberty Counsel, is arguing a case on behalf of Harvest Rock Church in Pasadena, California.
These restrictions of no worship that cover 99% of California actually go as far back as July the 13th. And the no worship also includes no worship in your home or Bible study in your home with anyone who doesn't live there.
On the vaccine front, the FDA now releasing its analysis data from Pfizer showing the vaccine's impact in trials. The blue line represents people who received the vaccine. The red line is those who had a placebo. Of those given a placebo, 162 people contracted the virus, but only 8 people who got the vaccine were infected. At his vaccine summit at the White House Tuesday, President Trump signed an executive order giving Americans first priority for U.S.-made COVID-19 vaccines. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is outlining steps he would take to control the virus in his first 100 days.
At least 100 million COVID vaccine shots into the arms of the American people in the first 100 days. 100 million shots in the first 100 days.
He's also pledging to sign an order requiring masks in all federal buildings. He's also aiming to see most schools in the country open again. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Well, CBN medical reporter Lorie Johnson joins us with more on all things COVID related. And Lorie, tell us about this vaccine. Are there any side effects to it?
Yes, there are some side effects, Gordon, but they're temporary and they're relatively minor. What do I mean by that? I'm talking about pain at the injection site, so your muscle might hurt for a little while, maybe a day, 2, 3 days. Fatigue, fever, general achiness. These have been detected in about 10 to 15% of the people in the trials. So not everyone will have them. In fact, a small proportion will get them. But again, they're temporary. They won't last but a few days at the most. And this is a very natural response. This is a very normal, good response because it shows that your body is mounting an immune defense.
Well, as I understand it, you need 2 shots. So if you have the reaction, is that going to deter you from getting the second one?
Well, this is why it's important to point out that people might be having these responses. And so, yes, the concern among some health professionals is that people will get the first shot and think, wow, I did not like that. I'm not going back for my second one. That's very concerning because we need both shots. So it's important to advise people ahead of time that they might have these difficulties and point out that these side effects are only rare. And if they do occur, it's a lot less worse than what you're going to feel if you get the coronavirus, right?
Yeah, well, that's true. I've been warned in looking at vaccines for shingles. Every year I get a flu vaccine, and the warning comes with that. Are these greater than what you can expect from a flu vaccine or from a shingles vaccine?
I'm glad you pointed out, and kudos to you for getting both the flu vaccine and the shingles vaccine. You and I are on the same team. I get my flu shot every single year, and I also got my shingles vaccines. And actually, this is a very, very similar comparison. The COVID vaccine to the shingles vaccine, there are 2 shots, and I was told ahead of time, this is going to probably hurt, and it did. I couldn't even sleep on this side of my body for the first 3 days after I got my shingles vaccine, and I did feel like I was almost getting sick, and then of course it went away, and I definitely went back and got it. And if you've ever known anyone who's had shingles, it's excruciatingly painful. It's an attack on the nervous system. So I was happy to have these mild side effects compared to ever getting shingles. Now, as far as the flu vaccine, that's kind of a walk in the park. A lot of people don't even feel it.
Well, if someone has had COVID, do they need to get the vaccine, or are they immune to the disease?
Well, we definitely know that people who have recovered from COVID are immune, but the question is for how long? We know at a minimum it's a number of months. So if you recovered from COVID-19 within the last few months, it might be a nice idea to get to the back of the line when it comes time to get a vaccine so that someone else can have their chance. However, if you got COVID way back in March, you might seriously think about getting vaccinated now because, Gordon, we just don't know how long immunity lasts. There's every reason to believe that it might last for a year or two, because the good news is that the COVID-19 virus does not seem to mutate that much, which is what we see with the flu virus.
Well, that was the concern, and certainly a concern I had at the start of this, that it was related to rhinoviruses, the cold virus, and therefore was mutating all over the place, and there would never be an effective vaccine. Are you saying that we need to line up for our COVID vaccine just like we do the flu vaccine every single year?
No, as a matter of fact, the health experts don't know this yet, but right now the early indications are that this COVID-19 vaccine might be effective for a long period of time, perhaps even longer than a year, but it's a little bit too soon to say, but there's every reason to hope.
Okay. We've got some viewer questions. This one comes in from David on Facebook. What is in it, and is it healthy for us?
Great questions, David. There are 2 of them. What's in it, and is it healthy? Is it healthy? Well, it's going to prevent death, so I think that qualifies as being healthy. What's in it? So remember, we're talking about not just one COVID vaccine. Probably next year, we're going to see 6 COVID vaccines that are approved, and they're all different, which means there are different ingredients in each of them. So let's talk about the one that's probably going to be approved today and maybe given to people in America next week, which is the Pfizer vaccine. It's a messenger RNA vaccine, which means it contains synthetic genetic material that causes our own bodies to produce that spike protein that you see on the COVID virus. And then our body mounts an immune response to that. It produces antibodies to fight against it. That's what's in it. Now, here's what's not in it. Nothing that's alive or has ever been alive. So no live virus, no virus that was alive and has been deactivated, and no protein from a virus that has been deactivated, and also no material that has ever been associated with an abortion.
Well, here's another question from Instagram. Is it dangerous for people with low immune systems?
Actually, quite the opposite. It's very highly recommended for people who don't have a very strong immune response, because if you have a strong immune response, like people who are young and healthy, they can fight off the virus on their own in many cases. But you need this extra help from the virus, from the vaccine, to help you with your immune response. Now, having said that, people who have extremely low immune systems, weak immune systems, may still get COVID-19. But here's the great news, Gordon. This vaccine is 100% effective against severe COVID-19, which means you might still get COVID-19, but you won't die from it. You won't have a severe reaction to it. And this is what we see with the flu vaccine, too, that a lot of times people get a flu vaccine and then they get the flu, but they have a less severe case of it. So what that means is your body is still mounting an immune response to it, but not producing enough of those antibodies to actually keep you from getting it, but enough to keep you from dying from it. That's important.
Okay, we had a poll. It was on Instagram, so by definition, it's not scientific. And we asked people, would they take the COVID vaccine? And as you can see here, 80% said no way. Most viewers said they were concerned with how quickly the vaccine was made and there hasn't been enough testing. What do you say to that?
Well, so 20% of those people said they do trust the vaccine. Let's focus on the positive. More reliable polls, I'm glad you pointed that out, like a Gallup poll said about 60% of people trust the vaccine. I've done my own polling, Gordon. It's also not very scientific. I ask doctors all the time. I talk to doctors and healthcare professionals all the time. And every time I do, I ask them what they think of the vaccine. And I can tell you 100% of the people I've talked to trust it. And so I would say to all of the viewers watching right now, if you have concerns about the vaccine, talk to somebody with a medical degree, somebody who knows the most about the vaccine, who is best able to talk about the facts of the vaccine. So call your general practitioner, your primary care physician, and talk to them about your concerns about it. Also, Gordon, you may remember 1 week ago today, I was part of a webinar, a seminar that was online that was headlined by Dr. Francis Collins, who's a strong Christian and also the head of the NIH, and Russell Moore, who's with the Southern Baptist Convention. And that entire seminar was about the vaccine, and it is on our website, cbnnews.com. And they do address the fact that some people are concerned about the rapidity, how fast it was manufactured. No safety corners were cut, but other corners were cut as far as taking risks financially. They made the vaccine in huge quantities before they even finished testing it, so that when it received approval, then it would be ready to ship out. Things like that made it fast.
All right. Well, Lorie, thanks for being with us. You can always get the latest update on the vaccine, COVID, and all the latest news by downloading the CBN News Channel app. It's available for a lot of different devices. You can watch a 24-hour news channel on your TV, on Apple TV, Roku, but you can also get it for your smartphone and tablet and get alerts on a regular basis of what's happening in the world today.